Showtime. So it is showtime, folks. Big update tonight. Tons of UFO news and at least one very good sighting, or at least I found it good that we're gonna go over. But it is Hannibal here from the Hannibal TV, both the main channel, and now we have a the Hannibal TV UFO channel that is all UFO videos. The link is in the description of this, but you can search it up, the Hannibal TV UFO channel, for those of you UFO interested people that don't like wrestling or combat sports. But today I am here with the UFO Tarheel himself, the bourbon connoisseur, Casey. How are you doing today?
Good, man. Hope you're doing good. Yeah, it's been a busy week, right? Lots going on.
Oh yeah, lots of rumors that again more stuff is supposed to be coming out, and supposedly the FBI is doing more than the official Pentagon UFO research program. Apparently, according to what Lou Elizondo's saying, I don't know how much credibility you want to give that guy anymore, but. Well, I'll let you get into it because I know you have kind of an order of stuff you want to go through.
Yeah, and I mean we can show some screen here too because there's definitely some interesting stuff going on. You got that there, Hannibal? You got my screen?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so this is one I want to call out here. Credit RPK putting this up because I didn't see the video until he had launched it. Let's see if we can make it bigger screen here, but it's very interesting.
Actually, about a month ago, Bob Salas emailed me and said, I've been interviewed by an FBI agent out of the Phoenix office. His name is Adam Herndon. And he seems very interested.
So this is Robert Hastings. So Robert Hastings is credited Michael's talking about UFOs and nukes, right? And he authored a book on that. And apparently
the 23-hour book. Like, if you read it on audio, it's 23 hours. It's amazing.
Yeah, and I just thought that was interesting this week because now they're talking about the FBI is talking to him.
Oh, we're losing you.
Can maybe fast forward a little bit.
And we can talk to you. And I said, sure. So I talked to him on the phone about 10 days ago.
Did you lose me?
You went robotic for a second there. You started saying that he said that the FBI Phoenix office had spoken to him and someone connected with him. I think Robert Salas, who I've interviewed.
Yeah. So, I mean, in that audio, it's just interesting because now they are, talking about the FBI getting involved again, right? I just think that's definitely an interesting take on what is going on in ufology. We've kind of heard that rumor, right? That something could be going on where the task force that's out there now, Arrow, something may be happening to them and being replaced by the FBI. So now Hastings is saying that the FBI is asking to talk to him. That is super interesting, because and the things they're wanting to talk about are old legacy stuff. So think about this, paid FBI agents reaching out to Robert Hastings about his legacy work in ufology from decades back. They're wanting to know what he knows about Knapp and Knapp bringing over Russian documents when he visited over there. I mean, doesn't that seem odd? I mean, why step all the way that far back into ufology if you're the FBI?
Yeah, and Bob Salas's incident, Robert Salas, that was quite a while ago. I think that was Malcolm Air Force Base.
Malmstrom, yeah. And I mean, very long time ago. And again, that stuff that Knapp did on the Soviet Union and UFOs, that's old. That's like 90s, 80s. I mean, that goes way back. And the FBI is asking questions about that. So
yeah. That was good stuff, though. Didn't he sneak it back because that was during a time where the tensions were low after the wall, or not not the wall, but whatever, communism had ended for a while there or something, and they were
Yeah.
sharing information, and Knapp met with some scientists, and someone had photocopied these sheets that he was not supposed to bring back, and he ended up bringing back all this information that Russia had actually had quite an extensive UAP program for quite a long time.
Yeah, and um, he smuggled it back essentially. Yeah, and but now you have the FBI sniffing around again, and that's very interesting news because if they're going to make it known, and he goes on to say in that interview right there where he's talking to Knapp that he reached out to a lot of these people or that are well knowns like the Chris Mellons and the Lou Elizondos and asked them, should I talk to the FBI? And they were like, oh, yeah, talk to them because we've talked to them as well. And he said they were very nice people. They were very, like wanting to know what's going on with some of the information that he had gathered. So, that's an interesting take here if we start going back down this federal route of it going through more of an investigations crew like that. Because I got to tell you, some of the Arrow stuff that we brought up last week about Tim Phillips saying that members of Congress weren't getting what they needed. The UAP task force is what they're called, the Tim Burchetts and the Paulina Luna and the Burlesons. They weren't getting the information they needed because they were getting blocked by congressional leaders, was what former deputy director of Arrow, Tim Phillips, said. Well, now this week we have Comer, who is one of the chairmen over those committees, coming out and saying, it wasn't me. So now there's this finger pointing going on where, Tim Phillips is saying they're getting blocked by leadership. Now the leadership in the Congress is saying it's not us. So we're going to have to call Tim Phillips to the stand, right? And bring him up there and just say, okay, you were in a skiff. You tried to tell Tim Burchett something and you couldn't, and because he didn't have the right access. And when you tried to get him the right access, Congress leadership, like a Comer, blocked it, according to you. And, what happened? Who was it? And start naming names because now there's finger pointing. So it's kind of hard to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, but it is interesting. And I guess, do you think if it's the FBI doing the investigation, this is going to be results kept quiet more than AARO, or do you think it's either way, it's going to be kept quiet?
Yeah, if it ends up being the FBI, I think there could be some less secretive nature to it, if you ask me, because they are outside of, a lot of those other dark programs. And some old notes from, J. Edgar Hoover. He said, and it's written out in his note, yeah, I'll take on UAPs and UFOs, but you got to turn over some of the material to me as well. So he was like, yeah, I'll get involved, but I want to really be involved. I'm not going to be, pussyfooting around. You're going to have to show me some of these retrievals and things like that. And he says that in the note back in the day. So, I think the FBI would like to have some pride there and being able to expose some things. But yeah, that'll be interesting. So that's one we're going to watch. Let me check another one here.
You're entering the warp zone, or the aliens
talk about this because I kind of bookmarked a couple things to show. Let me know if you're going to lose me again, or if I go robotic again. Hannibal,
you just went robotic, but you're back now.
Okay, it's not going to let me share.
How far in the woods of North Carolina are you?
So you know what I'm going to have to do, man. I'm actually trying PCs. I had a really good one, and then long story, couldn't use it for this purpose. But anyways, I've tried a couple. I think it's PC related because like my internet speeds are like fine. So I don't know. I think it may be PC. So if people have some good, I don't like spending way too much for a computer. It's like I'll buy a good $500 laptop, but why do I have to go buy a $1,500 laptop just to stream? You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
But yeah, no, there's okay, there's a screen up here. So um there was some very interesting things though that happened as well with like some of the notes from just staying on Congress, even with Burleson.
Yeah. Did he
So
say anything about the what is it? Is it buga? Is
yeah,
it pronounced buga spear? That it seems less and less credible as the days go by.
yes, and we could show a couple of those things. Um,
And my God, are people ever passionate about defending that thing?
oh yeah, yeah, it's insane. But he was talking about while he was down there, he was looking at bodies as well. So
Oh,
he was talking about the Nazca mummies. So I thought that was interesting that Burleson was bringing that up because he was trying to give some credence to those. But there's some odd things going on with the Buga sphere. There was another video that came out and it showed it wobbling in the sky. So you know, it did kind of look weird. You know, that it had like a wobble to it. So some would attribute that to being like suspended from a string or something. So I don't know, man. I mean, and it's so hard to get past, and I hate to do this, but it's time. It's hard to get past the Jaime Maussan stuff. It really seems when Jaime Maussan is putting on something, it really seems very coordinated. It seems uh, I don't know. There's just something off about it, and it's because people have called him like the Stephen Greer of Latin America and things like that. He
plus they have Stephen Greer there too, which really hurts his credibility. And someone even commented on my video I did on that on the Hannibal TV UAP channel. Like Greer was supposed to come out with some documentary earlier this year that was supposed to blow us all away, and that hasn't come out yet either. So another one of the prophecies and big reveals that hasn't happened. Well, are you trying to show that, or is it being?
Yeah, I was going to, but it's no big deal. If you want to look
Is
it
it
up, Hannibal,
showing?
maybe your connection's better.
Okay, what is it? Okay, can you just Twitter
Um,
message it to me and I'll play it?
yeah, I'll send it to you. But there's some good video out there that people need to see because yeah, it's a little messed up, and you know, sorry for the technical difficulty, everybody. We'll get this figured out.
Yeah. You've
But
got the
it's
guy from Disclosure Team on tomorrow too, by the way, for any
oh,
fans
it's going to
that
get
want to
figured
know.
out before then.
Yeah.
Because I
Oh,
think
I
it's
wasn't
gonna,
saying it for that. I'm just saying tomorrow night,
yeah.
Casey's got a good interview coming up with the guy from Disclosure Team and um, I don't know if it's his girlfriend, but it's his co-worker from the Disclosure Women.
Yeah, it's Vinny and Carolina. Yeah.
Yes, and I've interviewed both of them. They're very knowledgeable. They've both interviewed Lou Elizondo, and they're right on top of the news. And
Yeah.
Christina Gomez is going to be back on with me next month, as well as at least two other UAP interviews. So and you have a big one with some people from MUFON, Massachusetts. So there's a lot coming up.
Yeah, yeah, and that's why I thought too. I'll bring that up to them. Actually, you bringing up the MUFON people, um, with they're looking into Russian scientists' work. You know, it's just interesting that the MUFON people reached out with that story about a Russian scientist and their UFO potentially UFO work, and then a video pops up of Robert Hastings talking about, um, you know, the FBI, Russia, and what Knapp brought back. So I thought that was interesting. But yeah, I did send it to you on X, Hannibal, if you want to show it. What that is it's showing the Buga sphere and it's like in a wobble. So it's really weird. You know, and I think people are trying to figure out if there's some shenanigans there. Yeah, see, I mean, when they zoom in on it, it's got that noticeable wobble to it. So people are like, is that indicative of being, you know, up there on a string kind of thing?
Yeah, I wouldn't suspect that because technology is so good today. And even my friend at the Canadian version of FBI said this is something that could be duplicated with drone technology not too difficultly. And why hasn't it been cut open? Has there been a good reason given why it hasn't been cut open?
Well, I think Greer said that they did take samples. Okay, so I mean, take that for what it is now. I mean, we all know the debacle, or most of us know the debacle of having Dr. Gary Nolan on, I think it was Sirius, the documentary, and with Greer with the little body, and there was some fallout with that. So, I mean, I think sometimes people get it in their head they really want to prove something, and it just has to be anomalous or anomalous no matter what happens. And that's just one where, again, I don't think I don't know about that one too much. I don't think that the samples can be trusted in Greer's hands, but Greer is apparently the one that's saying that he's going to have the samples looked at or something like that. So I don't know. I mean, I'm like you, man. I mean, just if you're not detecting anything, you're going to have to cut it open eventually and do something. So
yeah, and my friend also said the UNAM, which is what the Mexican investigation committee, or the government, is that the government investigation committee from Mexico or something? Uh, there's people that used to work for them involved in this, but they don't currently work for them. So there's some confusion
yeah.
on that, and apparently it still hasn't gone under any peer review.
Yes. So people have called that out. Some of the scientists that Jaime Maussan has used for the last 2 or 3 decades for other stuff, that he's going back to those same people. So it's like he's going back to this little close-knit group of scientists, if you want to call them that are doing these analyses. You know, that's another weird thing. It seems like they just like go to these random areas to get things analyzed. Sometimes it's like, oh, well, we went over here to Italy to give it to some people, and then we went over here and we went over there. You know, it's weird. And there seems to be more production to it. And, you know, doing these big staged events, and you got Greer there, and you got Sheehan, and you have Burleson, and they're sitting around, and it's sitting over there in a case, and they're like, well, it's cold to touch. Let me tell you something about a piece of metal. When you take a piece of metal out and you sit it into an air-conditioned room, the thing is going to get cold. Okay. I mean, it's not going to sit there and get hot. It's not, you know, it's a piece of bald metal, round, and it's sitting in an air conditioned room. I'm sure it's cold to touch. Okay. So, you know, it just cracks me up. I mean, this arm right here has nothing fancy. It's not anomalous at all, but it's in a 72-degree home, and it's metal, and this thing is cold to touch, you know? So it's like, I don't know, some of the stuff that people, you know, I picked it up and it was cold. It's like, well, define cold. Did it like dry ice cold? Like, did it burn you? It was so cold. I mean, so I don't know. It's hard to really get a handle on it, but everybody knows, if you watched our analysis 2 or 3 weeks ago, I have issues. Just like someone's saying in the comments about different pictures of it, I have issues with the recovery. And I've heard now other well-known people start to come out and say that some of the recovery video is a little odd. It comes, you know, that it cuts into the recovery at a certain time and it cuts out at a certain time. It's almost like they only show enough of the recovery just to show it being picked up, but they don't want you to see anything else. They don't want you seeing what led up to them walking down the hill to find the sphere in the woods, and they don't want to show you the sphere coming out of the woods. All they want to do is just show you a guy in the woods, crouched down beside of a sphere, picking it up and putting it under his arm. That's all they want to show you. They do not want to show you anything else. And that right there, I'm sorry, people, that screams bullshit to me, because if you are retrieving one of the most rare things that you've ever seen in your life, you're going to grab that thing and hold it up, and you're going to have that thing on camera, and you're going to be showing it off. You're not going to go, oh, hey, I'm getting to come out of the woods, cut the camera. You know, we don't want people to see this. It's a little odd. So the retrieval video. I mean, and if you can't get past the retrieval video, then how are you having? I can't analyze anything else. I can't. So it's like we have to start at the retrieval video, and it's shoddy. So now you want me to analyze, Burleson over there touching it and saying that it's cold? I mean, I don't know. Can't make much of it.
Yeah, and it still hasn't come out exactly who sent Burleson there, who paid for his tickets, was he paid for being there, what was his purpose there, and what overall is his opinion on what he saw there.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but I sent you another thing in the chat too, a pretty cool UFO. Have you seen the Massachusetts UFO that I posted about today?
I did see that. Yeah.
I sent you the video in X.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, and I'll play it on here. But to me, that's credible. Like I'm saying, it's credible as I believe it's a real person that saw something unidentified that apparently the air people monitoring the air haven't got any reports of anything crashing or something like that. But she definitely saw something. Okay, so yeah, we'll watch it on YouTube here. She was in her hot tub.
I want people. Okay, yeah. And I want people, if you do show it, I want people to tell us in the chat, if people could tell us in the chat when we watch this, is it coming down or is it moving away? So that's one thing. She says it was coming down, but that just looks like it's flying by. But I don't know. I mean, it's definitely weird looking.
She thought, and I believe this too, she thought it was a bomb, like some type of bomb but
that's not moving fast enough to be coming down quick, though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just coasting. Yeah. So
I think is this the slow motion version? Yeah.
Yeah, that's the slow-mo. It's definitely got some gnarly looking lights on it.
Yeah.
But
and it looks rather large to be like your run-of-the-mill drone. It's hard to say what kind of lights those are. One of them might be orange and three. It could possibly be a drone though. It's kind of rectangular, but one of the lights, it's like one of the lights almost looks like a UFO.
Thanks, Sage, for that compliment. Thank you. Hey, so here's the thing, Hannibal. So what I put on our UFO channel about this, I did go to Flight Radar 24. I did the playback. Now, if you're ever going to go on flightradar24.com and do playback, you have to realize it's in UTC time. So you have to do a UTC to whatever time zone that person was in conversion. So she was in Pembroke, Massachusetts. You're going to have to do a UTC to Eastern time zone conversion. So she said it happened Wednesday night at 9:00. So I believe that's Thursday, 1 a.m. UTC conversion. So that's the first thing, because people will double check me on this and they run to Flight Radar 24 and they're going, well, I see something completely different. I'm like, did you do the UTC conversion? They're like, no, I don't even know what that is. You have to do that. So I checked it over Pembroke, Mass. At exactly the time that she said was a helicopter at 150 feet altitude. It was a Boston Med Flight helicopter flying from Nantucket to Boston and going right over Pembroke. Now, here's the interesting thing. I'm not saying it's a helicopter, because this is why I said I want people to go watch that video. If it is coming down, then I'm looking on Flight Radar to see, you can watch the altitude of the flight path to see if it ever changed altitude, the helicopter. The helicopter is locked in over Pembroke. It never budges. It's at 1,650 feet, and it's locked on that. It never descends. It never ascends. It just locked on 1,650. So if in that video it is showing something descending, then it's not the helicopter. that helicopter is not what she saw because that helicopter was locked in. Okay. So, but I can't tell in that video when I watch that, I can't tell if it's just flying away from her, and to her it looked like it was going down, but it wasn't. It was just that it's at 1,600 feet and it's moving by her and it's moving over the top of her home, and it may look to her like it's going down, but it's just moving away. But I do agree on a couple things. As somebody who lives here near Charlotte, and I'm seeing Charlotte, North Carolina, and I'm seeing medical. I have a hospital right over here behind me, and they're flying people in and out all the time. It is odd looking, and I don't blame her because the light pattern on let's say that is a helicopter, the light pattern on the bottom of that is odd looking. I would have done the same thing. Plus, here's another thing: in her audio, you can't hear anything. So if that is, you hear her hot tub running in the background. So if that is a helicopter, that's the quietest helicopter I've ever seen in my life, because you don't hear it. And you will hear a medical helicopter at 1,600 feet. You hear them coming from about a half mile out. So that one, I agree with you, Hannibal. I think there's something real going on there. I mean, at least, but you have to call out the coincidence that there was a helicopter going over that area at around the same altitude of what she filmed. So it is noteworthy that we have to call that out. But I still have some issues because if she's seeing it go down, that helicopter was not going down around Pembroke. It was actually locked into one altitude. So.
And the other thing is, if the news contacted the radars in the area and they didn't say, well, we checked it out and it was a helicopter.
You're right. They said they checked with the FAA, but all she says at the end of that news report is she goes, well, we checked with the FAA and they didn't report anything going down.
Yeah.
So I wonder if they asked them that question, what you just said. Well, did they report anything? We don't.
Yeah.
I mean, was something in the area, and they could, but we can see that ourselves. So there was definitely something in the area. So. Oh, yeah, this was big news around my house, man. Big
Sage
news.
Pup brings it up. That looks different than the other thing that you're talking about, but it's unusual.
This was a confirmed meteor from what they're saying, that NASA did confirm this, and that maybe pieces of it were found. They showed a video of somebody sealing, and it actually came through the roof of someone's house, a fragment of it. So, yeah, that could be seen all over. I mean, we saw it in Charlotte all the way down to people in Georgia saw that thing coming down. So, but
I wonder how much these meteors have to do with the bombs that keep getting set off in the air. I wonder if any of the vibrations or anything has any effect into space that we might be loosening stuff up. I'm just curious.
Well,
we keep letting these things off.
We have a big. There's some comets out tonight. So apparently some comets started last night into the night. Boots comet or Boots asteroids or not asteroids. I'm sorry, but Boots comet shower. It wouldn't be asteroid shower. That would be bad. But there's some peak comet shower that's going on tonight. So if you look somewhere around the Big Dipper, you'll see that that comet shower going on. I think if you look like northwest, tonight it's super cloudy in North Carolina, so I don't get to see it. But yeah, I've heard about that. That's pretty crazy. I heard pieces of it as well have been found. But apparently that's all that was. So, nothing anomalous or anything like that. So
interesting. Well, that's cool.
Yeah. But so some of the other news though, if you saw the picture of Hannibal's thumbnail for this live tonight, man, I mean 50 grand for Sean Kirkpatrick if he'll come on Jesse Michaels' podcast. And then Jesse Michaels has a friend that's going to match it. So he's going to get $100K. And I just wanted to put out there tonight that I will also put in $5. So the total is up to $100,005. and maybe if we crowdsource this thing, we can just get him on there now. I don't know how much money you want to put in, Hannibal. Maybe you'll put in $5 and match me, and that'll put it up to 100,000.
Yeah, I don't know what he would say or what he's allowed to say about that, but I would hope that he would be grilled a bit if he accepts that. But just having that money thrown out there tells you the kind of money they must be paying some of these people like Robert Hastings, who you showed earlier. He doesn't do a lot of interviews, and I know his health. It's funny because if you actually do research into him, he's had some UAP experiences, and
Oh,
he
yeah.
claims his heart issues. He has some pretty bad heart issues are directly related to these UAP experiences, but he doesn't talk about them too much because he doesn't want to create a bias over the stuff he's reporting in his books, which is literally a lot of it's declassified information, or he talks directly to former military officers that are allowed to talk about it through the types of non-disclosure forms that they sign. But I would recommend anyone that UFOs and nukes. It's just straight to the point stuff, highly credible. And it's like seriously 23, 24 hours. I listened to that like all summer last summer, almost every night to fall asleep to, and it's great information in there.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I think it's wild that, to your point, it's so much money that can be thrown out there. Yeah, somebody's making a note about that. It's wild that help me with winning Powerball numbers. Yeah, we know that some of these people are being funded, and I am watching something. I don't want to add to the speculation, but some people are saying that they're starting to check the books on some of these well-known podcasters. Let's just put it that way. Not that they don't have a right to go out and be sourced however they're sourced, but people are starting to try to look behind the curtain and figure out where are these people getting the funding, who's funding it. When you pull up someone and they have a massive set that's well put together, almost Hollywood version set, tons of equipment, hundreds of thousands of dollars of equipment, time, staff. That is a big undertaking. And I'm not trying to go after nobody. I'm happy. I'm a subscriber. I love it.
It's
But I
different
think,
sources out there to privately making stuff, but yeah, some of these people definitely have a lot of money behind them, so good for them.
yeah. And I think people are just wondering, like, is there a story to finding out who is funding some of these?
Yeah, or there's someone trying to get a particular narrative out there.
Yeah. Yeah. Hannibal, if somebody went behind you and they found out that, you were getting some kind of offshoot DOD funding, through Arrow, through some, angel.
Yeah, well,
grifter
someone accused me of being a disinformation agent before, and they were quite
Really?
serious about it. Yeah, and it's just like I don't think so. I'm actually a wrestler, and our only funding is from the people that watch. So
Yeah.
that is the weird thing, because like this channel is completely funded by people watching and stuff, but like some of these people just come out of nowhere with huge productions. So I mean they're going into it with an agenda, or
Look,
as people that have money.
and maybe it's the most boring story ever. If it get exposed that somebody like a Jesse Michaels is nothing more than his money is from trust fund. He's a trust fund baby or something. That's his business. He was,
He's extremely smart. I think he's extremely smart and well educated, and I'm sure from a great family. So I'm
yeah,
glad we have a mind like him on this. And as I said, I don't know if I can watch all these 3 and 4 hour ones that he does, because some of them are a bit too much, but I definitely watch most of them.
yeah. And I mean, and that's why I say I'm not hating on him. I'm a subscriber, but I do think it would be interesting to see where some of these stories go. Um, you know, and yeah, like the comment there, why is disclosure happening so fast? It may be tied into that. It may be tied into the fact, like, look, we got to get more production out there. We can't just go through Tom DeLonge and have him. Maybe Tom DeLonge, and this is what I'm getting at, people.
Tom
If Tom,
DeLonge's going real slow lately, by the way.
but what if it turns out that he is behind the scenes and doing some of the funding? That's my point. Is like maybe Tom is like, look, TTSA, this thing is trending down. It's not, and the government brought me in. Remember, he told Rogan in 20, or I don't know if it was 2017, but he told Rogan around that time, they're bringing me in to help them do this podcasting, entertainment, production quality stuff. Well, what if it turns out he kind of dissolved TTSA slowly and is like, we got the money. We'll just funnel it into some people that we think can put out some good stuff and people will listen to him, like a Jesse. Because the reason why we all like Jesse is the points you just made. He's smart. He's got a good etiquette about him. You know, he's a good interviewer. He's got an amazing lexicon. I mean, like the guy is very sharp. So why would you not want to funnel some money in him? That's where I think the story could get interesting, is if it's come to find out that, you know, someone like a Tom DeLonge is funding some of these people.
I don't know if it's
Not
out
saying
yet,
he
but
is.
I'll be interested to see the one that Jesse did with Charles Hall, because I know he did one with Charles Hall coming up, and Charles Hall, whose books are classified as fiction, has some real questionable stuff that at first you buy into, but the more research you do, there's a lot of questionable stuff. So I'll definitely watch that one. One interesting thing, I don't know if I ever told you this, Charles Hall did agree to do an interview with me actually at that same time that I did the Travis Walton one back. I
Okay.
think that was 2019. He agreed. Then my camera guy was my ex father-in-law, who had a good job at Transport Canada, which is like a big government job in Canada, because he asked me what my camera guy did. He had weird questions like this: who's coming with you? Because I was gonna go to his house, and then who's your camera guy? What's his background? I'm like, oh, it's not even a full time guy. It's my father-in-law helping. What's his job? Oh, he works for Transport Canada. He works for the government. Oh, I can't have a government employee from the Canadian government in my house. So it got canceled for that reason, which I found strange, and I was disappointed because I would have grilled him a bit. I had got the books. That was part of the deal. I ordered all
Hmm.
5 of the books, and I had a job at that time where I had time to read it. Which he makes himself like Superman in his books, which is one thing that raises some red flags to me.
Do you think he was just looking for any excuse? Like if you'd have said my father-in-law's in dairy and him like, sorry, I'm lactose intolerant.
Yeah, who knows? Like maybe he just wanted me to get the books, and he was gonna say he was gonna do it, and then put me off. But I did find that weird. Oh, really? Because he's coming and he works for the Canadian government. You think I'm trying to set you up or something? I don't know. It was very disheartening because he was getting paid too. He had set up. So I'm sure Jesse probably gave him an offer he couldn't refuse.
Yeah, and I mean, we keep hearing about this, right? We keep hearing you did a video this week on it, talking about the Israeli. Who was it in Israel? That's what I was trying to look up. One
Hayam
of the
Mashed. That to me, I don't understand how this is not big news. Like
yeah,
he was literally the head of the Israeli space security program for
he was the
30 years.
yeah he was the space security chief.
Yeah. This guy is as credible as you can get, and he did
They
come out
have
a few years ago talking about this same thing. And this is what Paul Hellyer had told me, that he had talked to this guy even before he came out. Because Paul Hellyer, we've talked about it before. I had his last interview about 3 years before he died. Former Canadian Minister of National Defense. He knew Hayam Mashed, and I talked to him through an interpreter. So he was telling me about this Israeli general before couple years later, this news came out when he first started talking about it.
Yeah, and it feeds right into Charles Hall, right? Because they think it's this tall white race that he met when Charles Hall worked out. Where did he work out? Creech. I think he was at Creech Air Force Base.
Either Papoose Lake or Groom Lake, or one of the somewhere out there.
Papoose was S4 with Lazar. I'm pretty
Okay.
sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Charles Hall was at Creech, which is sometimes called
Dreamland or whatever.
something else.
But
But it's
it's
Creech
been a
Air
while
Force
since I
Base.
read his books.
Yeah, and he was doing what? Meteorological
He
readings?
claims, I'm very, very, very familiar with his story. He's one of the first people that got me interested in this stuff because I actually believed him for a long period of time until, Travis Walton doesn't believe him for whatever that's worth. Because I was telling Travis the story about Charles canceling on me. But he claims he was a weatherman. But the thing was, he did the weather out in this area where these
I
tall
think it's
white
Indian
aliens.
Springs. Yeah.
Yes, Indian Springs. Yes,
That's Creech.
and they
Yeah.
weren't allowed to tell him that they were going to see these things out there, but they were having a very. Here's where he keeps putting himself over as Superman. Like nobody would go out there. They were only having weather people there for like a few weeks. Then they would encounter these things and leave because it was so frightening, and they couldn't properly be briefed on it because part of the agreement is you can say whatever you want. We can't brief you on it, but you can't bring anyone else out there or they're going to be killed. And we're not allowed to tell you anything, and we're not going to take a debriefing from you. So he claims he had all these interactions with the tall whites for years. He was the only one out there that wasn't afraid. So he was out there for years, and I forget the reason why he ultimately quit. But in the end, he ended up he said he was scared every single time he saw them, but in the end, he started to get used to it. But at first, these things would approach him
Oh yeah.
while he's taking the weather, and he didn't know how to react. And then he kind of just realized that's why no one else is doing this job.
Yeah, yeah, and I remember the story, and I mean that's where if we start having more people like a Paul Hellyer or a Shed in former head of space, security with
Well, I'll tell you one
Israel,
thing. Hayam Mashed is a lot more credible than. Oh, I thought you meant Charles Hall for a second. But Hayam Mashed is an actual general. Charles Hall, I don't know if anyone's even confirmed that he worked there.
That's a good point. Yeah, I don't know that either.
But Hayam Mashed, like, why else would he be breaking his silence now and basically saying that the U.S. and Israel have been direct? Here's what he said that's interesting. He had that job for 30 years, right? And he said that the U.S. and Israel had been working with them for at least 30 years. So basically, for the time he was in there, they were working with them. He didn't say how long before, how long after, but they're working with them. They have bases on Mars.
Yeah.
Apparently. And they are. Here's the interesting thing, because Jim Semivan also said this from To the Stars, former CIA agent. Jim Semivan alluded to the fact that maybe they don't, like, he basically said, has anyone ever thought that they don't want to be revealed? And they're the ones blocking us.
And that's the quote. That's the quote they bring up. They say that is this Galactic Federation, which that gets brought up a lot. They have been waiting until today for humanity to develop and reach a stage where we will understand in general what space and spaceships are. And that's what a Shed said, end quote. So, and he's talking about a Galactic Federation and you hear that thrown around a lot. There's people I follow, and you hear them say that they're in touch with this federation.
And this is not the Galactic Federation of Light that some people are claiming.
Yeah.
It's totally different. He's claiming they kind of like are the police of the sky. It's the United Nations of space, he's claiming.
Yeah, and I mean, so how does this tie into space and like a space security group within a nation? Well, I mean, you have a shed here saying this from Israel. Then you come back over here to America, and if you want to believe his claims or not, he was there. They took him in, and I'm talking about Chris Bledsoe. He went to NASA. Tim Taylor, the guy, the great enigma that is in Diana Pasulka's books as the, you know, the one who which everybody wants to interview in ufology, but they'll never get to him. And only by picture do we get to see him. Like if someone like a Chris Bledsoe takes a picture with him, and they bring him in. They bring him into NASA, and Chris says that NASA tells him, you're here because all of our astronauts are seeing orbs. And again, if you have a space program in Israel saying this, that there is an alien existence and we're in contact with them, and then you come back over here to our own space program and they're taking in people like Chris Bledsoe because Chris Bledsoe says he's in contact with whatever these beings are that are coming in and out of our atmosphere. Then I mean, it when you start talking about Congress and who's Congress talking to, it kind of makes it stupid because, at some point you're like, what are we even doing here? Who cares if they talk to David Grush? Who cares if they talk to James Lukatsky or Colm Kelleher? I mean, these guys are running programs. They're selling books, talking about Kelleher and Lukatsky and those types of people. It's like, who cares? You have a head of a space program for a major nation over here saying that we're in contact already. And then you have a guy here in North Carolina who's saying he's in contact with them and that he was invited to NASA to come help them explain the phenomena and talk about it. So, it makes what's going on Capitol Hill a little stupid because it's like such small potatoes. The real conversation is going on there. Okay, that's what he looks like. I've never really looked the guy up before, but so that's him. So is he alive still? I don't have your audio, Hannibal.
Sorry, yeah, he was born in 1933, so he's somewhere between 91 and 93. He's a retired brigadier general in his Israeli military intelligence, director of space programs for Israeli Minister of Defense for 30 years, former chair of the Space Committee of National Council for Research and Development for the Ministry of Science, Technology, and Space, and a member of the Sleeping Committee of the Israeli Space Agency. He's responsible for launching 20 satellites. He was awarded Chief of Staff citation, the highest non-combat decoration awarded in Israel as an Israeli Defense Prize. He has a degree in electronics engineering, as well as a master's in aeronautical engineering. He was a colonel in Israel's military intelligence directorate. So, I mean, to me, this guy is extremely credible.
Yeah.
Like, I know the Galactic Federation, I know that's a little hard to take in. It's really hard to comprehend. And he's not really saying what their intentions are other than they're working together. He's not like disclosing information really, other than that there's agreements and arrangements with the US, Israel, and aliens, and it's been going on for a long time. But he's not like saying details of what these agreements are. And
Well,
yeah, so there we go.
and have you ever heard, if you want to pull up another guy, Hannibal, and show people a picture of this guy, if people have not looked into this guy, his name is Carl Nell. Karlnell. Carl Nell is brought up. If you go watch the most recent Ross Coulthart posting on News Nation, he shows his 2-hour keynote speech in Alabama where they do the scientific studies of UAP conference. And he brings up Carl Nell again because people overlook that. And again, if we're talking about people that Congress should be talking to or that people should be pulling in, here's a guy, Carl Nell, who has, like you're bringing up a Shed's credentials. When you look at Carl Nell's, I mean, it goes on and on and on and on. And I mean, he used to be part of what's the Soul Foundation or UAPDF maybe. But yeah, I mean, people take a chance and look at this guy's profile, all the military background he has. I'm talking about high up military stuff. This is the guy that at the SALT conference, that's where you're pulling this up at. So he was at the SALT conference and he says with 100% certainty that there is NHI and that they're interacting with us. Why the hell is that guy not sitting in front of Congress? Like, who gives a shit about David Grush? Who gives a shit about Jake Barber? I do not give a shit about that. Go talk to this guy right here who runs all the stuff that they're involved in. Like, he's the boss. That's the boss man. If you go look at his resume, he's the boss man. Why don't you have him? Why you got a low guy like Grush over there who doesn't even have firsthand proof of anything?
Let's listen to this for a second.
Yeah.
Exists. Non-human intelligence has been interacting with humanity. This interaction is not new, and it's been ongoing. And there are unelected people in the government that are aware of that. There's zero doubt. Non-human intelligence exists.
So yeah, there you go. I mean, see, there's people saying, "Oh, hi, I'm a Shed. He's crazy." Well, no, we just read his credentials. Jim Semivan says the same thing, and there's Carl Nell. Why? See, Carl Nell doesn't have a book out. He rarely even does podcasts, and there isn't really a detailed podcast of him out there.
I can't. That's a great point. I've only seen him do 2 or 3 conferences. He did SALT. I think he was at Soul Foundation. Maybe 1 or 2 other out there. But you're right. He didn't do the podcast tour.
So what is his purpose of doing this? Hey, let me just mess around with my reputation and just throw this little bone out there for absolutely no reason. Let's just have some fun at this point in my career.
If he's psycho, okay, then that psycho was head of a lot of shit. So it's easy to sit around and call a guy psycho, but then what are you? Look at your resume and look at my little ass resume. Then what are we? If that guy's psycho, then I mean, that's some, I don't know. It's just, I agree with you. I don't know why he would risk all that. But to say that he is 100% certain, I don't know. He just reminded me of that. People need to go. Actually, Ross's speech at the Scientific Studies of UAP conference in Alabama, his speech just got posted where he was keynote. It's actually really good. I know it's 2 hours. If you got a long trip to make somewhere, or Hannibal, you're running across the plains out there, you cut it on and listen to it. But he's actually very well spoken. Ross is. We only get Ross in little interview snippets, right? When he's doing his reports, but he actually gives a really good keynote speech. So
the other interesting thing about what Chaim Mashed said was Donald Trump was planning to reveal this. He's aware of it, this whole UFO thing, and he was told by them not to reveal it. And if you look at the things he was saying from like November to the time he went in office, it seemed like, well, when the whole drone thing was happening, and by the way, the drones seemed to have been a mix of a lot of activity, but it seemed like he was going to reveal something. Then when he got in office, it was like, whoa, oh, did I say I was going to reveal something? Oh, we'll get back to you about that. Then a couple days later, oh yeah, we're working on that. We're gonna, because he had said originally he was gonna reveal it the second day in office. And if you're gonna disclose UFOs, the second day in office would be, what a bang to make would that have been? But it was almost like he got some information, then he started playing dumb. Then it was like a statement made by one of his secretaries on his behalf of what the drones were. He didn't even make it. So that kind of corroborates what Hamish had said before he went in office. Maybe he had every intention on doing it, but when he got in, oh, wait a minute, they don't want us to do this, and we got to do what they say.
That's an excellent point, because that's exactly how it went down. That's an excellent point, because he gave us a BS. He said, oh, and he was talking to his like White House chief of staff, and he's like, we're going to look into that, right? And I think her name's like Susie or something. He's like, we're going to look into that, right, Susie? And yeah, we'll find out what those drones are. And you're right. A week or two later, they came back and they're like, oh, it was just FAA. Even though the bastards were sitting there in front of Congress saying, no, it's not us, and we don't know what the hell's going on. Okay. So they're not going to lie in front of Congress and say, even the FBI said they didn't know what the damn drones were. The FAA chief said he didn't know what the drones were. Oh, but it was the FAA doing a drone drill thing and freaking people out and flying over their house.
Yeah.
I mean, that was, and so I agree with you. I think Trump has been debriefed on certain things, and he's not going to say anything because this just goes above him. Again,
he was actually asked twice before that statement came, and if I remember the conference very well, he's like, I'm going to reveal this second day in office. Then it goes to, oh yeah, we're working on that. He goes from knowing exactly what it is to, oh yeah, we're working on that. Susie, get on that. Then they asked him again like a few weeks later, oh yeah, we're almost there, and then that statement. So it's crazy. But he did reveal something better than Biden.
Yeah, and I mean, well, it's because, some these old guys in the U.S., they just they stick around too long. So I think Biden was just like probably had his cup was overflowing toward the end of his presidency. But
remember Biden's statement about it? He's got this black hat on. The black hat is like covering his face, so you almost don't even know if it's Biden. And he's doing this conference about the drones when everyone's panicked about it, right in like a hangar with an airplane engine running, so you can barely hear him. It was the weirdest thing ever.
Yeah, and they're also wishy-washy about it. Like even former presidents. Have you ever watched someone ask President Bush or President Obama about aliens?
Yes.
How they respond? They're so foolish. Like you can just see this look come over their face, and they're just like, they know something.
Obama knows. I get the impression Obama knows, and he likes to pretend that, oh yes, I really want to find out about this, but they wouldn't tell me. But I'm on your side. I want to know. But it's like he clearly knew.
Yeah, I think they all know something. And again, I always go back to the how put off thing. I 100% believe, again, when somebody says, what stories do you believe in ufology? For some reason, I believe the how put off story of where he said at the Soul Foundation 25 years ago, they ran this through. Like a big think tank full of some of our smartest minds in government ran through this scenario of telling us the truth. Okay, we're going to tell the public about aliens. It's time. And we're here today to do a pro-con list, right? And figure out, we're going to score it on a -10 to a +10 on that scale, where this would end up, and where would a religion end up, and where would the markets end up, and where would, they go through all the big phases of life, and where would these things end up, and it always scored low, and they decided not to. So I 100% believe that story from How Put Off, that they have probably
said it happened again though too. I forget what recent interview it is. Yeah, he said, I believe it was on Joe Rogan actually, because he was recently on Joe Rogan. He said there was another conference like that in more recent years where they revisited it and they came to the same conclusion. And it's interesting that if the UAP think that too, because it's like we see people riot all the time, constantly. It's like would they go crazy because they would be mad that we haven't been told for so long? Would they go crazy and because of the fear? We're
Yeah.
thinking, okay, the world's going to end. Let's just do whatever we want.
Yeah.
Or is it something legitimately so scary that we're just not going to be functioning? Because I've heard Lou Elizondo say on numerous occasions that once you know what's going on, and
You
and you're
can't turn
thinking
that
about
back
it,
off.
no, and he said it's very uncomfortable to know this information, apparently.
Yeah, and I mean that's a big thing is how much these things are in how it would tie into religion. So just think about, you know, people who their life is religion. Um, and there's a lot of people out there, and I'm not throwing shade on that. If you're a religious person, if you're Hindu, if you're Muslim, if you're Christian, if whatever your faith is, if that's your world, but then some new reality is given to us about something going on that doesn't line up with whatever faith you believe in, then yeah, I mean that could cause who knows what kind of chaos. And who knows? And again, I always like to bring up the story of a Hindu friend of mine. Um, and I was telling him about this, and then he started explaining to me the Hindu scriptures. And he said, bro, we in Hinduism, we are set up perfect for if aliens come out to be true. And I said, well, what are you talking about? And he's like, one of the gods in our faith, and I'm just quoting him, so don't come at me, Hindu people. I don't know the faith that well, but he said he said the scriptures talk of one of their gods that I believe he said she comes here on a craft, and that's what it says in their scriptures. I think he said Hinduism has like two main scriptures, and he said that in Hinduism they believe she comes here and she visits this planet on a craft. So he said we're set up perfect for ufology if it turns out to be true and everything, because we already kind of believe in visitors from beyond. So I thought that was interesting. I got that right from someone who practices that faith. So, but not every scripture is set up for that, right? You know, if you look at Christianity, Christianity is very based, you know, on God creating the earth, and then these He makes these people on earth, and then these people on earth come to go through some hardships and tussle with Him, and you know, and here we are. And you know there's no mention of any other species beyond here, right? So I think that's where, you know, there could be some things going on there. And I know, Vincent, I know you're making some religious comments in the notes. I'm not coming at you, bro. I mean, if you're religious, that's great. And I saw you say, Vincent, that you're in Hawaii. You should be seeing the best comet activity tonight, because I hear the view of the sky in Hawaii is great. So, you know, if you're Vincent, if you're in Hawaii, be looking north, somewhere around the Big Dipper, look out toward the handle, and that's where you're supposed to be seeing a pretty good comet show tonight. But anyways, I just bring that up, that if you're talking about weighing out the religions of which religions are going to be set up, and not now, again, I talked to some other religious people, and they're in the Catholic side of religious studies, and they think that it'll be fine, and that they actually can explain it in the scriptures of, you know, maybe more mysterious things. And Catholics like to revere themselves as mysterious, as a mysterious faith. If you go on some local parish's website and read about Catholicism, they actually welcome mystery, and they actually call the Catholic faith on some of their websites, you know, welcome to the mystery of the Catholic Church. You know, they like to kind of be a little mysterious, right? So, you know, I don't know. I guess it would just depend on how everything lines up. But I think that's the big reason why. You know, the markets could probably turn around and all that, but what would your religion do? Would your religion be able to stick with it? And what is the most common religion in the world? It's Christianity, right? So if they're not telling us, is it because there's some big shakeup to Christianity that would happen?
Yeah, that's of course another one of the things that could happen. And by the way, when I was in Hawaii, it very well could have been Venus, which you can see very clearly there, but I thought it may have been a UAP. but it was either a UAP or Venus, but it was definitely something that you don't see in the skies on this side of the ocean. The other I'll just say one little thing quickly about what I find weird about some religious people, and I am a very much a believer. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for God because I've had some close calls. But there are some people that are just full out believers in God and the Holy Ghost and all this, but they will refuse to believe in ghosts or UAPs. They're just so close-minded about everything like that, and I
That
just find
is,
it weird that they'll believe in the Holy Ghost and angels and stuff like that. But oh God, there cannot be any ghosts out there. That's foolish to
yeah.
think that a UFO. Oh come on, that's silly. So I don't get some people like that. But
It's very close in the same, because that's why I always bring up Diana Pasalka in reading her books, is because she talks about ufology and she says it. There's a religiosity to ufology. And what she's talking about is belief without seeing. No one has ever seen God or Christ or these people, right? You've just not seen them. Now, some people say, oh, I've seen his works, but you've not seen them. So why do you believe? Well, first and foremost, why do you believe Jesus Christ walked the earth? Well, because you have faith in there's scriptures and there's people that wrote about it. Okay, well, there's people that have wrote about UFOs, and there's people that have faith that those things exist, and there's almost like a religion to it. And it's that belief without seeing type thing that you see with religion. So yeah, I agree with you 100%. To believe in something supernatural as angels. So, Hannibal, if you believe in God, I'm assuming you believe in angels, right? You believe that there's got to be
that they were
maybe.
looked over by angels. Yeah.
Okay, so see, you believe in angels. So you believe in something supernatural that can occur and can come down on earth and look after people and look in on people and et cetera, et cetera. So to your point, why is that hard to believe that there could be something else in the supernatural that could not be of our earth, as far as like maybe from somewhere else. So yeah, I always find that interesting too, when I hear very, very religious people and then they just call BS on a lot of the things from aliens and stuff like that. And I'm like, but there's so much similarity between the two, right? There's so much similarity between the two worlds, is because you're asking people to believe something without putting their hands on it, right?
And I've had direct ghost experiences, and to me, there's even more like evidence out there of ghosts. But some of those people, they'll believe in one thing, not the other. But people can do whatever they want. I'm just saying,
Yeah,
I find it weird. People are entitled. I don't hold anything against anybody. People can come to their own conclusions. But
absolutely.
Casey, that lots of great information in this, and I
Yep.
thank you guys for all of your comments tonight. I appreciate it. I'll let you wrap this up, Casey. Oh, one last thing. We
Yeah.
did mention this before, but we do have a custom UAP channel now too, at the Hannibal TV UFO channel, and there'll be some extra stuff coming to that channel, not on the main channel, just related to UFOs, and no more wrestling stuff on that particular channel.
Yeah, and hopefully I'll get my tech issues worked out before tomorrow. But the plan is that Vinny and Carolina will be on live with us tomorrow night, 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard. So yeah, definitely check that out from the Disclosure team, Disclosure ladies. So that'll be a cool conversation. We'll touch on some of this and more with them. If I don't have it figured out, we'll probably record it, then air it live. So we'll figure it out one way or the other. We'll get it to everybody. But yeah, definitely check us out tomorrow evening as well.